I know we're kind of used to it, and it's summer, but I was seeing triple digits on the truck thermometer, and officially it was right at 99. It wasn't quite 100 on the Weather Service measurement, which I think is taken out at the Birmingham airport. But when you see triple digits, and then you pile on the humidity, some of the heat indexes or indices, or feels like temperature is over 110 right now. So they've got a dangerous heat advisory for us today, and we're kind of here in the peak of it. It starts about now through about 5 o'clock when we start easing off some of that heat. I think it gets better as we go on through the week. I think this is going to be one of the worst days it seemed. Last time I looked, anyway, I hadn't really looked yet. You been out in it?
I have been out in it, and earlier this morning I did my exercises, which is honestly, man, look, whoever does like hot yoga,
Yeah,
man.
stop that.
Well, no,
Oh, you like it?
I don't do yoga, but I do like my exercises. I get outside and I do like some push-ups. I do sit-ups. I do jumping jacks. I incorporated weights into my workout.
Yep.
And I look like meat that's been rendering its fat, so I'm like
I
sweating.
get it.
It's awesome,
Get it.
and I laugh when I hear people complain about the heat. I know it's dangerous. Make sure you take care of yourself. But you're talking to someone who has a vehicle, a Mazda truck, old school Mazda truck that does not have air in it.
You still don't have the air fix in that truck.
no.
Bring it
no.
over to the house, man. Let's figure it out.
Well, I need to get it's been rusted, so I got to get a whole
You're gonna wind up, it's
compressor.
gonna wind up being like a fuse, and it's gonna piss you off.
It probably is. It probably is gonna be something simple like that.
Do
But
you drive that truck in this heat, though?
I have. There's times where
Right,
if
when
one
you
of my
gotta get
cars
there.
is one of my cars is down, I'll put that bad boy in. And the beauty of this thing is now when the car is rolling, it's
Yep.
fine. But then when
Oh yeah, when you come to a stop.
but then when it comes to a stop, I feel not only the heat from the outside, but the heat from the engine comes through the vent.
Oh, yeah,
so
it
it's
does.
like double. And then it's that old school wool, whatever stuff that they it's like that really dense cloth.
Oh yeah, that scratchy, itchy
Yeah,
cloth. Yeah, I know what you mean.
yeah. It's
know
just like
exactly what you mean.
disintegrating, and it like gets into your eyes and your skin and like your hair and all this other stuff. So it's fun times every time I drive that vehicle.
Our grandparents called it 255 air conditioning.
Oh yeah, I love it.
You roll down two windows and go 55.
And it has a little back window in that also helps circulate the air.
Just let it come on through.
And I have a
Cross
portable
ventilation.
fan that doesn't blow nothing but hot air at the same time. So yeah, I'm rolling. I'm good.
I grew up with cars and trucks that didn't have air conditioning, and it's some of my best memories. Sitting on
Yeah,
that
those weren't
bench seat,
standard.
vibrating down the road. That big old shifter in the middle with my grandfather driving, that thing shaking all over the place, and he'd just grind the gears and we get down the road, man. It didn't kill us. You kids today are poons.
That's what I'm saying.
Actually, we all are, because I'm done. I'm completely done with it. I'm fantasizing about cold weather right now.
Well, look, when
We'll be cussing it by Christmas.
when I get kind of full of myself, I like to humble myself by
Yep.
driving some of these vehicles that don't have none of the what I say first world problems.
Yeah,
It
no.
doesn't have AC in it. It's still a manual.
This car didn't drive itself. What?
No, like I especially when I drive that truck, like I have to
Oh, yeah.
like look at all the mirrors.
You got to
You
coax
know,
it.
I gotta, and then when I get on the hill, I have to remember like, okay, I gotta time this out right, because people
Mm-hmm.
love to get like right up on you, and I'm like, hey, you might want to back up. I
Yeah,
try to
just-
tell them.
Brakes ain't that good over here. Just yeah.
I got
Give
a
me some
clutch.
space.
This thing's gonna roll back on you.
We'll Fred Flintstone if we have to. We got to stay. It's that time of year, man. We took the dogs out on the walk this morning. We're trying to get 3 miles in every day. That gets us 3 miles. Kind of gets us toward our steps go for the day. And y'all know I'm doing this Project Lean Nation, so it has forced me to really step up the exercise. I'm not skipping because everything's working and that feels good. But dude, we thought we were getting an early jump on it about 8-ish today, but it was sweltering by 8 o'clock. The dogs didn't make it. We had to bail with them like halfway through and just take them back inside. They couldn't handle it. Had to get them all watered. But it's just going to be like that, and it's summertime. Speaking of weather, I saw where James Spann posted this today, and he's one of the people, of course, that most of you trust with the weather. And James is always calm and cool-headed about stuff. People give him a reputation for being sensational with tornadoes. The guy's just thorough. He's just a total professional. But he was looking at the El Nino, and I was fascinated with it because we've been hearing all these doom scenarios. You'll hear stuff online and you'll read stuff that the last time we had an El Nino this bad, a good portion of the planet's population was wiped out. Well, that was one that's not even measurable because it was in the 1870s. They were able to measure the ocean temperatures, which is where the name comes from. It's from I believe it was some Asian fishermen, some Hispanic fishermen down in South America um, off the coast in the Pacific that noticed the fishing changed as the water temperatures rose, and there were these patterns to it. And then somebody eventually connected it to the weather in the whole world. But so yeah, it's on the positive. I guess the affirmative side of the El Nino panic is that the indicators are coming in now. It was predicted we were going to a deep El Nino cycle, or I guess you would say a strong cycle. And we have the data is coming in that it's going to last. It's going to last through spring. So what does that mean for us? These are just generalities. There's nothing specific with this kind of thing, but it changes the patterns. And in my experience, just sort of talking about these things over the years, it changes the position of where the wet weather is. It can kind of, some places wind up drier, some places wind up wetter. But for us, as it turns out, we're probably going to have a colder and wetter wintertime if the trends continue. What does that mean? According to Span and some of the smart people that know this stuff, good chances of snow this year, higher than we've seen in recent years. Now, when I was a kid, we'd get more 5-6 inch snows than we do now. They seem to be rare, but this pattern may change that for us. So it could be a wet, rainy kind of winter, generally cold, but sometimes we're going to get that two things that come together, and could see some snow this year. Just who knows? It's good to talk about that on a day when everything kind of is just melting out there. So, boy, we have headlines. It's not a big, heavy news Monday, but we do have things to get into. And I'm going to start with some ATF stuff here in a minute, do some clarification on some of that, and then we'll get into just plenty of side things to get into. Bill is on a cell phone. He's calling about the weather. Let's get Bill in here early. What do you know, Bill?
Hey, Leland, I don't know about this hot weather. It's 75 degrees. We got the wind blowing here.
Where are you?
In Cummins, Michigan. It's about an hour and a half south of the Mackinac Bridge.
Yeah, that's beautiful up there. Very nice, man. Enjoy it while you can, because you guys will get winter 2 months before us.
I remember the hot, sticky, muggy Birmingham weather, and I don't miss it.
Oh, not at all. Yep, not at all. So what's happening?
Sorry. Hey, I had to call in.
Yeah.
Love the channel.
Oh, is that it? Okay, man.
Yep.
I thought you.
Yep.
Well, Bill just called in. AJ, he literally called in to gloat in our faces that he's in 75-degree weather.
Oh yeah, he's in Michigan. Michigan is like now. What part of Michigan is?
Well, he's got the lake too, helping out.
Yeah. So. Are you? What part of Michigan? Are you in Mackinac or?
Yeah. AJ was doing something when you described that, Bill.
Yeah, it's actually northeast, closer to Lake Huron.
Ah, okay.
So,
okay.
Yeah, we're in the Huron National Forest area.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah.
I need to get over that way sometime. I haven't been there. Well, I've never been there. I need to go to. I need to do all that stuff. That's one part of the country I haven't.
You won't have cell service, so don't.
Well,
worry.
I'm kind of used to that. Thanks, Bill.
Yep.
Hey, John, rub it in, but that's cool. That's cool. That's cool. That's cool. That's all right.
Man, I was doing battle with my property all weekend. If you're gone, like I was gone the first half of summer, I'm still fighting stuff that grew that I didn't even know was on this land. And so I'm down in the woods, AJ. You'll get a kick out of this story. My wife loves, I guess she loves when I go slapstick and getting myself in a jam. So she missed this visual. She tried to watch it again today because, anyway, so I'm down in the woods with the tractor. And I was thinking, my precious Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, that I changed my tractor this year and got a cab. One of the reasons was dust and, well, of course, air conditioning, which it was just luxurious to get in that thing while doing a bunch of work in the woods while it was nearly 100 degrees. And I felt cocky. AJ, I was cocky about it. I was like, man, I'm so glad I bought this tractor. I mean, it's so dusty at one point I can't even see out of the glass. So during that period, I'm creating a dust cloud. I'm cutting down low-end brush out in the woods, and I get stuck sort of behind two trees, sort of wedged in there, and I'm trying to wiggle out. And the bucket came off the front of the tractor. I mean, it came off. It shouldn't come off. I think one of the levers popped up, and I pulled on it too hard on the tree. Popped off. That thing weighs like 500 pounds, so I can't go out there and pick it up, but I need to see what's going on. I can't see. It's too dusty. So I decided to crawl out of the tractor in the middle of the dust. Well, one door was being blocked by a giant tree limb. I couldn't get out my normal door side. There's 2 doors on it. So I said, I'll squeeze out this other door. As soon as I got out, AJ, I had hit a yellow jacket nest. The third reason I wanted to have a cab is 'cause sometimes down in the woods you get into that stuff, and it doesn't bother you as long as you keep the door closed and don't get your fat ass off the tractor. But I did, and I got zapped. Man, my hand, I showed you my hand. My hand looks like it's all swole.
It looks like a before and after.
Yeah, I look like a before and after weight loss commercial.
Or Botox.
Yeah. One hand just is old and shriveled. One hand is swollen. It looks like a catcher's mitt. I've never had that with yellow jackets. I'm pretty sure, based on the sting, they were yellow jackets because, I get those every now and then. But it got me on my legs. I was all in it. So I outsmarted myself. Here's a tip to the wise. If you've got protection from all that and you've got a cab tractor, stay in the tractor. Just don't get out till you get all clear from hitting yellow jacket nests. That was my adventure this weekend. 545-9950. We're about to jump on all the heavy things of the day, and there is a whole lot of stuff going on. Little stuff. There's a lot of volume. There's not that big, heavy story that's got us with the breaking news headlines and all that. Mike Miller owns ProLift Garage Doors. Let's talk about your garage door for a minute. If you've got one, you're going to have issues, whether you create them yourself by backing into the thing, which a lot of people do. Don't feel bad if you do that. I mean, you'll feel bad for a few minutes, but understand it's life. Just get it fixed. And the way we use garages nowadays, it's not just a place to park the car. A lot of folks store a lot of things out there. Your kids' stuff, Christmas, our garages are packed. I remember I had a foreign visitor at my house years ago from Brazil. And she was down in the basement area looking at the family basement. And she just looked around and she goes, all Americans have the exact same things in their basements. And I never thought about that. There was just typical tools and everything you'd have not basement, but in my garage. So, and we do, and we use them that way. But when the door goes wonky, everything's exposed and it feels weird, especially if you can't get one to close. If you knock a panel out, if you have typical issues, which are tension springs breaking, that happens. I've had that happen on me. Sound like a shotgun going off, and that thing just finally gave it up. Motors go out. What you'll find is, ProLift Garage Doors is there for you quickly. They can service anything, and that means not just residential. It's going to be most of you, but some of you have commercial buildings. For me, on my pole barn, I got a big 14-foot roll-up door. That thing is heavy. It's a beast. You got to get 14 feet up there just to work on the motor and tweak anything. I'd rather have the pros do that. Everything's got to be just so. And today's technology has changed so much. If you don't have a smart garage door, you'd be surprised at how cheap it is to switch that out and just upgrade your garage door, and then you can control that thing with a phone. Let me tell you when that helps. When you're 25 miles down the road or so, and you look at each other and go, did you close the garage door? Or in my case, you look at it on the camera and go, damn, I forgot to close the garage door. You can hit a button, close it with your phone. That's very nice. Y'all, it is ProLift Garage Doors. Mike and his whole team, ProLiftDoors.com, ProLiftDoors.com. Well, kind of eased into it. We will get on the heavy stuff here in a minute. Your phone calls too, and we'll see what happens on this Monday. Back in a minute. It's 2:22. Leland Live talking. Is that Tupac?
It is Tupac.
You know why you played Tupac?
I know why I played Tupac.
Tell me what. Tell the people why you played Tupac.
I played Tupac because the murder of Tupac Shakur is underway.
Like a white boy.
Yeah, I did.
Listen, take two. AJ, tell me why you're playing and why did you turn it down? It was.
Okay, that is a clean
'cause
version.
he's about to cuss.
Well, no, it's a clean version.
You got to watch them rappers, man.
Yeah.
They'll drop an N-word or an F-bomb.
Well, this one I monitored it, so
You'll
it's
find
clean.
that so much in bluegrass. I've noticed. Keep going, man.
But it's the murder trial of Tupac going down in Las Vegas. So the person that's in I guess a standing trial right now, he's now trying to say he didn't have anything. He had nothing to do with it. But he went on.
He does.
But he went on all these different platforms and claimed that he was the one who set it up and did this and did that. Like you put it out there. I guess he was thinking that was going to get him recognition, but I guess he didn't realize the statute of limitation with murder. There is none, so he's on trial for this. So it's interesting. It's interesting. So, but yeah, that's the reason why I'm playing some Tupac.
Yeah, I've been sort of hearing about that today. I need to get up to speed because I forget. It's been, 3 decades?
Yeah, it was 96.
I mean, that's a long time ago. But it was such a big deal, and it created this chain of events of other murders and drive-bys and reactions around the country in that world. But and then it went unsolved for a long time.
And I think that's what was such a mystery because, like, for the longest, Tupac was like our Elvis. You know, there were sightings of him. People didn't really think that he was dead because, you know, his funeral was so hush-hush and low-key.
Yep.
And then, you know, he was already shot before and survived. And that just kind of enhanced that whole conspiracy about, you know, is he still dead or is he alive somewhere in Indonesia somewhere?
Which is funny you mentioned Elvis because yesterday was the anniversary of Elvis's death. Yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
I'll never forget it. You probably don't remember it. You're too young, man.
No, I don't think I was born when he passed.
I was fixing a flat. I've told you this story. I was fixing a flat tire on my bicycle. There was a little service station down the road from my grandparents' house where I was living at the time. And so my bicycle had a flat. I had to go down there and pump up the air. It's just, you know, it seemed like a mile, but it's really not that far now that I go home and look. And it was Taylor's grocery store, Ms. Bobby Taylor's mama, Miss Shirley. And it was a little tiny, typical, y'all remember these little gas stations with 2 pumps out front, and there's stuff on the inside. And I'm out there pumping up my tire and working on my little bike, and she comes running out of there in a panic. AJ, I thought I did something wrong. She had a cigarette dangling out of her upper lip while she yelled this phrase, "Elvis done died." Like, what did she say? Elvis done what?
Yeah.
And she was crying. And then by the time I get back to the house, my whole family had heard the news somehow, and they were all just sitting around in shock and crying. He was that huge back then. And maybe it was a Southern thing, but in my family. But I think the whole country was shocked by that. And the Tupac thing, in a whole different genre, a whole different time period, was just as stunning to people.
I think it was very shocking to me that, I mean, I grew up in that whole East Coast, West Coast beef between Notorious B.I.G. and Tupac. And
so let me break that down for my Appalachian brothers, just like the Hatfields and the Coys.
Right.
Keep going.
Right. And it was a very interesting time in music, and to see this being highlighted through song and through the television. Now, don't get me wrong, there's always been like diss records. Like there's been people that have been dissing each other from time to time, but it was never to this level where you, like when I would meet people, you had to pick, almost like you almost had to pick a side. It was,
and now people do it all over the internet for sport. Like everybody in their PJs is doing, everybody disses everybody on the internet, but that was where it was going down back then.
Right. It's like when you come into Alabama, the first question they ask, are you Alabama or Auburn? And you had to pick a side, and there's no like going back and forth. And like you literally had to pick.
Now here's how it goes. It's like Ford, Chevy, Baptist or Methodist, Alabama or Auburn. Those are your checklists to get into across the state line. But back in the day, it was like Tupac or Biggie. I'm a huge Biggie fan. Which one were you?
Well, I liked them both. I mean, you know, I did like lean more towards, you know, Notorious B.I.G., But I mean, I did like Tupac. You know, Tupac had that East Coast flow before he went over to Death Row. And
Have you ever seen interviews with him? I think he was hitting for the other team. Is that true?
I'm not gonna do that.
Come on, man. He was.
I'm not, you ain't finna get me set up.
Could have gone into Broadway, man.
Nah.
AJ's like, watch out walking to the car tonight. Don't be dissing Tupac.
I plead the fifth. Call me Fauci right now. Fifth.
I plead the fifth. I said my kids.
No, but Keefe D, he was, you know, during that there was a Vegas situation where he beat up the guy. That was kind of like
that sort of led to the opening of this,
right? Yeah. And he was, because Keefe D had I guess affiliation with the guy who got jumped, who actually ended up, you know, being, you know, killed later in life, but he said he was around and did, you know, was a part of the whole murder of Tupac. In interviews, I mean, literally said this in interviews, and then comes back and was like, "Oh well, I didn't have nothing to do with it." Like, bro, like,
sorry, dude.
Why you open your mouth and say this? So it's a very interesting. I'm surprised, and I think it's the only reason because it's been 30 years that when the situation has happened,
and there's no statute of limitations on murder, so they can always. I'm doubtful they're going to have a conviction. I haven't seen the evidence, but that's a long time. Try to put on a murder case.
And then a lot of people that was affiliated with that were either dead or, you know.
That's true. That's what I mean. Memories fade. Eyewitnesses were no good. Back then, technology wasn't good on some of the evidence, some of the DNA material that we have now. Anyway, interesting, though. We'll be keeping up with it this week as that rolls along. Meantime, there's a good old boy riding down the road right now going, what the hell happened to Leland Live? Why are they talking about all this?
Why is that other fellow talking?
He can talk all he wants to, but I don't know what the hell they're talking about. I love AJ, though. Hey, we got to talk about this young actress that died. This is it's one of the first things I saw today, and we got other stuff to throw at you too, including I'm getting some fresh stuff on the ATF and these rulings on silencers and background checks and previous felonies. A lot going on in the 2A world today. Back in a minute. Man, it's 2:34. Leland Live, talking to NM5, Alabama Dental Associates, bringing you the next segment. Man, I had some tooth pain today when I was eating breakfast, and all of a sudden I went, uh-oh, Dr. Brian's going to get his wish. I may have my first cavity. I'm pushing 60, and I've just never had a cavity issue. And so Brian's always kidding with me when I come in. So I'm probably due. I got to go check my calendar to see what I'm due for the next cleaning. It always seems like you're just in there, and then you get a reminder because time does fly by like that. Here's what you need to do as well. Stay on top of it. Be ahead of it, all of it. If you do the routine stuff, just like with your health, other health, and your car and your home, if you just do the maintenance, do the routine stuff, it's just a good way to live your life. It saves you trouble in the long run. And nobody wants tooth pain at an inconvenient time, or especially right in the middle of something. So y'all decide whether you want to choose Alabama Dental like me. This is a wonderful practice. Now, I'm just biased. Yeah, granted, Dr. Brian and the team over there, they're clients. They advertise on the radio. We're paid to talk about them. That's legit. But I'm his patient. He's my friend. This guy's good. This whole team is good. And I'm a little biased. I just think they've got the best practice I've ever heard of. The atmosphere is positive. The hours are incredible. As late as 7 o'clock at night. They're open on Saturdays, making it easier for you to do the routine stuff or get emergency treatment. It is alabamadental.com if you're looking for a change or you just haven't been in a while. alabamadental.com. All right, I know we've got sort of heavier stuff, but we were kind of doing some celebrity stuff with the Tupac thing. And then I woke up this morning. Sometimes the first story that I see that's a big story leaves the biggest impression in my mind before I get the show going. And it was this Hayden Panettiere. Am I saying her last name right?
Yes.
Beautiful young lady, 36 years old, dead. Now, you always got to wonder what happened there. Many of you will know her from various things. I didn't watch Was it Heroes?
Yeah, I used to love Heroes on NBC.
A lot of people did. I just never got into that. I did watch a little bit of Nashville, but I first noticed her, of course, like most people, in Remember the Titans. It's one of my favorite movies of all time. We just rewatched it on the road trip. That movie dealt with sensitive race relations in the most straightforward, honest way and had the best message. It's just a redeeming film. I love that. I love everything about that movie. And she was the little kid in there. She was that cute little spunky girl that loved her daddy and wanted to coach football. And, yeah, she overacted a little bit. She was 10 years old, though, but just adorable. And she grows up. A lot of child actors don't, will do their thing and then they move on with life. But she made a pretty nice career. She actually had some country hits when she was on that TV show Nashville. I think I watched, like, the first season of that when it came out. I was still watching mainstream television back in those days. And that was a pretty good little soap opera kind of show. But she actually developed that into a music career. The kid could sing. And your heart just breaks for people in this condition. It appears she had an overdose. We don't know that affirmatively. We know the autopsy came in and showed no signs of foul play, which means it doesn't appear that she was murdered. She was very vocal and open about her drug addiction and dealing with that. Somehow she was in Greenville, South Carolina, and had a home there, maybe to get away from celebrity culture like a lot of artists have to do nowadays. But such a tragic story. I don't know where her career would have gone at only 36. But it reminded me, for some reason, it reminded me of Michael Jackson because different careers, he's a legend, and I don't need to call her an acting legend, but I think the connection I make is these child actors that are forced to perform or choose to perform at very, very early ages, and then they never get a chance to become real adults and deal with life, and they're so their world experience is so different from ours, and they seem to struggle. And you can make a whole list of them. Look at Britney Spears. I mean, I think she clearly has some kind of developmental mental illness from what she went through. In her genre, I guess this Justin Bieber, you see him trying to get it together, and he seems to have gotten it together. I think he's found, he's found Jesus, I believe, and has made a turn. At some point, we all get to these places in life where you've just kind of messed up, but you hate to see somebody die that way. Now, what we don't know, some people are prejudicing the case by saying it is a suicide. I don't think you can't conclude that. An overdose can be accidental. She could just have gotten a little too ambitious with whatever she was ingesting or shooting into her veins. I think it was heroin, but I don't know 100%. But that's just terrible, terrible story.
Well, it's also the sad part is that her brother had passed away a couple of years before as well too, and he was an actor, and I think that was her only sibling that I know of, and so that's even more of a tragedy because she was dealing with that as well too, on top of the stuff that's going on in Hollywood and stuff like that. So, yeah, that's just a tragic story.
And I forgot about that. And she was divorced from her child's father, who's apparently a Ukrainian UFC fighter or something. And he has custody of the child. She had an 11-year-old that has now lost their mom. So anyway, many of you have seen that story. I just wanted to give a little time to that since we were doing sort of celebrity news as we get cranked up. Now let me just completely do a 180 on you and talk about the ATF, gun laws, all this new stuff that's got the world confused right now. And I'm going to do my best to explain what I think I know based on what I'm reading and people are telling me. Okay, you ready? So I'm going to take you all the way back to the beginning. If you weren't listening to the show Thursday or Friday, you probably didn't hear any of this stuff. So we've had the National Firearms Act has been, I think it was in the 30s when it was passed, and it banned certain arms. It was a straight ban on certain armaments for citizens. And what it didn't ban, it made it extremely difficult to get. Machine guns, Tommy guns, but silencers and or sound suppressors were part of that list. To get one, you had to jump through so many hoops, and it was so expensive. Most of the time, these things cost more than a gun because these conditions kind of drove the price up too. And so for decades, that was the standard. There was a lower court ruling out of Texas where some people that are in the industry sued over the fact that the Congress just removed, as of January 1st this year, they removed a tax from these devices, these silencers. It was a $200 tax that you had to pay. Congress determined that it didn't have the authority to do what it did on these devices. They removed the tax, and then the court case followed up and said, well, if the tax is removed and Congress doesn't want to or is taking the tax away, then the other compliance measures, let's put it that way, some of the background check stuff, some of the registration stuff, some of the wait periods, all these things, this Form 4, I think it is, that people had to fill out, was moot because Congress sort of removed that from the list. Does that make sense? That is very pedestrian language. I'm not trying to talk about it like a legal case. Okay, so stop there. Let's pause and realize. So we had a lower court ruling that made it easier to get a silencer. Let's put it that way. And then the Justice Department, through the Trump administration, had the ability to appeal that ruling to the appellate court to challenge that ruling. Well, they're pro 2A in the Justice Department. These things that Congress had put on the public didn't make us any safer. Silencers are not dangerous to people. In fact, some people say it makes guns more stable and less dangerous. We can argue that another day. So the Trump Justice Department chose not to appeal, to let the deadline for appeal run out, thus opening the door for people to be able to purchase these things with ease or more ease than they would have before the ruling. Is everybody with me? Because then it got weird, okay? That's the point where, so the deadline, if my memory's right, was Thursday night, maybe Wednesday night, where officially you could go and buy one of these things without filling out the forms and waiting and doing all the other stuff. But, and here's the part that I'm picking up on from my friends in the business. And this is where I'll also talk about Hueytown Pawn for a minute, one of our sponsors. So what we didn't know was, well, who can buy them and who can sell them? It was left vague because it was a lower court ruling that applied in that case to the litigants in that case, but it wasn't necessarily a nationwide thing because the ATF has not clarified how it's going to enforce based on that lower court ruling, right? So the world is kind of waiting on the ATF to give clarification. I'm sure there are career bureaucrats with the ATF that don't like this rule, but they too have to understand how they're going to either, I guess, enforce or not enforce. Are y'all with me? So we'll limit it to silencers because there's some other parts of that ruling, short barrel, short barrel rifles and other things might be subject as well. So today, even the NRA is putting out guidance. My man Tommy over at Hueytown Pawn, and this is the dichotomy of dealerships. Tommy absolutely went to his lawyers. His lawyers said they can sell these things as long as it is coming from that supplier that was part of the suit. Because today the NRA came out with a store guidance, I guess, that says if it dealt with those companies, the distributors, the stores, and future customers in that food chain. So it has to be a silencer that came from the litigant, not necessarily every company that makes them. Well, that's confusing, and it doesn't seem like the right approach, but that may just be the most narrow ruling, short of the ATF coming out and giving clarification, which they've yet to do. They were supposed to do today. So Tommy and his team went to great lengths to separate the ones that were applicable to that versus the ones they have in stock that weren't. But they were really nervous about it and trying to make sure they got everything right because it's a narrow window here. And it's left a lot of dealers in the lurch to know what to do. I heard from another dealer as well, a friend of mine, and I don't know if he wants me to use his name or not. I gladly will, and I'm sure he's very open and would talk about it. They took a more cautious approach, and their lawyers kind of advised them, well, we don't know yet, so just hold up. So a lot of shops just still weren't taking the advantage of the ruling and or taking any chances until they get clarity. So those of you out shopping ran into some walls. Tommy said they blew the doors off with people buying them up. Y'all almost bought up everything he's had in stock. That applies to this ruling. Now, he's got more stuff. You can always go in and do it the traditional way, but he's just about out of those, and he's thinking he can get more in. But you've got a conflict between different legal advice coming from different lawyers, and lawyers can be like that. Some lawyers, their first inclination is to avoid harm and to be cautious. And I've gotten that advice from lawyers over the years too in certain situations. And some are going to be a little more aggressive. So we've got a pretty dramatic thing playing out in that business for the next few days as people try to decide what's legit and what's not legit with this ruling. And the ATF, I think, as of this hour, and maybe if they put a clarification out, I haven't seen it, but when they put a clarification out, I think they owe it to everybody involved in this, customers, the retailers, the distributors, all of it, the manufacturers, to say how they're going to address this so people can just go back to doing business one way or the other. The confusion really left a lot of people frustrated this week, and I heard from some of the listeners that were frustrated. They bounced off some of their own stores because they just weren't allowed to go walk in and get one. Some people, it's symbolic. They just wanted to buy one the first time they were available this way, symbolically, because it was a pro 2A ruling. So there's that issue, and we're going to keep up with it today. If there's any new guidance that comes out this afternoon, we'll let you know. The ATF, though, today through the Justice Department, really justice itself, started clarifying another thing that affects gun owners, and I'm not as well versed on this, but it really has to do restoring your gun ownership rights if you're previously convicted of a felony. A lot of felons were not able to get their rights to own a gun, and it's on the form. I bought a gun from Tommy last week and filled out the form. You're always reminded of all the questions. And but this covers the Justice Department has decided they're going to start implementing these changes, and you'll have to go read up on it yourself and base it on your situation or whoever you know, because that too there'll be some lines drawn, but they're going to open up the opportunity for non-violent felons, people who weren't didn't commit any violent acts, to potentially have their voting rights restored in this country. So that's a fascinating turn of events for the 2A community, and of course we're all over issues like that, and we'll get you updated. But I just sort of stitched those two together just to make that point. Here's Tom in Calear. We'll go ahead and get a phone call in here. Tom, what's up, buddy?
Hi guys, I've been watching the telly, and the Democrats, as my boy likes to call them, so they all talk about a big tent. The Democratic Party is a big tent. Well, the last time I went to a big tent, it was a circus. You had lions, tigers, bears, oh my, and elephants, and don't forget the clowns, all kind of clowns. So they need to shut the hell up about this big tent, because if you're not a communist, you ain't welcome, Jack.
There's Tom.
Y'all
with
have a
his,
great day. Now, you hear?
with his circus metaphor. The Republicans used to use the same phrase. It's a stupid phrase. Republicans, when they were trying to get it together and welcome both sides, would always say, "We're a big tent party. We're a big tent party." Who's hanging out in a tent nowadays? Come on, man. It's hot. Idiots. Okay, that's enough of that. Let's see if there's anything else. Let me just jump on the break. We'll come back and kind of reset everything. We got a lot of other things to dig into, too. Some complex stuff in the news today. Fauci stuff back in the news today. It's just that kind of day so far. All-American medals. Let's talk about the buildings. I always have a reference point a lot of times with our advertisers, and for me, now in clarity, I did not build my pole barn, my steel pole barn, with All-American. Let me tell you why I didn't, because I didn't have a loving talk show host like myself to tell me about this before I dug into that project, and I piecemealed it. I found a distributor, I found a manufacturer, I found somebody to help me. I was guessing. I had to learn a lot. Made a few mistakes along the way. Probably should have chosen a little bit different size. But if I'd gone to All-American, not only would I've lived probably an extra 5 years after dealing with all that, but I would have had a thought-through design because they're fully integrated. I've told you their background many times. Two families. They've been doing steel since the 60s and are absolute experts. And they control the whole process, from the design work to the manufacturing of all your components, to packaging it all up and getting it to your site. And because they're local, they're responsive. If for some reason something's not quite right, something gets bent, something needs to be adjusted, they're right here. They can make that adjustment on the fly. I mean, they carry the bolts, the screws, the installation packages, all of the hardware, all of the support structure. They bend their own metal. It's a wonderful company, and it's great to live in a town like Birmingham that's got this right here amongst us. Same thing for residential red iron. If you're doing a home construction project, you need red iron in your project. They will custom make what you need. And, of course, commercial stuff. A bigger part of their business is commercial warehouses and retail build-outs, even mini storage packages. They're just really, really economically a good investment. Y'all look into that with your advisors. And when you're ready to build something, y'all, it is All American Metals. AA-metal.com. It's AA-metal.com. Back in a minute. Man, Alabama Gold Refiners over there in Homewood waiting on you, man, if you want to get involved in the gold game. I was just over here in a conversation today with a family member that was trying to deal with some cash. Somebody paid them cash for something, and we were like, go buy some gold. If you want to stick it somewhere, stick it in gold. It tracks against the stupidity of our government deflating our money. It didn't take a mathematician, but if you had $2,000 in cash, just 4 years ago, and you just sat it on a counter in your kitchen, just set it there, that $2,000 is worth less. It will buy less today than it would have 4 years ago. If you'd bought gold with it, you could exchange it for 5,000 of those dollars or so now. See what I mean? It tracks actual value, not dollars. Dollars are just a concept that our government's decided is flexible. So if you want to be smart with some of your stuff, we're not saying go sell all your stocks and put it in gold and put it in the backyard. But some of what you own in emergencies against inflation, just for diversity itself, should be in gold or silver or platinum, some of these tangible, liquid, precious metals that always have value, and you can always unload them and go back into them when you're ready. It's just smart. And it's nice to have a respectable place like Alabama Gold Refinery to help you do these exchanges. AGR, AlabamaGoldRefinery.com, in Homewood, across from the Big Tall Regions Tower in Homewood on 29th. Y'all go see Steve. Once you get to know him, you'll see what an expert he is. Then you'll have a reliable place to sell your things, buy the stuff, trade if you want to, coins, jewelry, all kinds of stuff. Alabama Gold Refinery in Homewood. Okay, let me throw this in there since we're a little bit off the normal beaten news track. We got the AP football poll is out today, and it is all the buzz on the internet. I'm sure our buddies down the hall that do sports are having to deal with this story today. We put so much into polling, and sadly, it's still how a lot of college football is determined by the end when it comes to who gets in, who gets out. But I guess the headline today is Alabama came in at number 13, and it's the first non-top 10 AP poll preseason in 17 years where Alabama didn't come in that mix. Listen, if I'm a Bama fan and I've got them in my family, that's a good place to start. That's a real good place to start. Where did Indiana start last year? I mean, I'm not trying to give you all a pep talk, but some of the best seasons you'll see are when you – plus the expectations are automatically lowered by the coaches poll. Auburn, for example, ain't anywhere near it, but there's a lot of optimism going on with that program with the new coach and all that. We've been through that before. So, but the good news is in less than 3 weeks, they'll be kicking that pigskin, and we'll have something actually to talk about as the season is upon us. Football, doesn't high school football start this? I think it starts Friday night. So everybody be out there sweating on those fields in the early part of that season too. Fun times. Yeah, but the AP poll, UAB, hey, Jared, are they anywhere near it? No, nowhere near it. Didn't they get a new coach this year?
I believe so.
You're the UAB guy.
Well, I mean, I haven't followed UAB in in a minute. So you would ask me that question. Who's Auburn's football coach?
Golish.
Golish?
Ghoulish. Did I say that right? I may have it wrong. Hell, I've forgotten. I couldn't name two players, man. I'm just checked out. All right, y'all. So anyway, there's all that. Hey, the kid from LSU, while we're talking about college sports, still clowned all weekend long. The guy who wants his number back or whatever, number 5. Even some of the big-time legendary names at LSU that are still loyal to the school are trashing this guy on. And apparently he's the quarterback of the Washington former Redskins, the Commanders.
The Commanders.
That's a stupid name. But anyway, so yeah, his alum, the alum at LSU are telling him to pound sand. What an idiot. They say it's his mama. Boys, at some point, if you're big enough to play quarterback in the NFL, you need to tell mom, hey, Mom, here's my credit card. Go shopping. I'll be over here playing football. All right, let's do it. Top of the hour, 1819 news on the way, and your phone calls and more headlines. We got plenty of other stuff to throw on the table as well. Back here in a minute. Leland Live.